he muttered. Victoria had reached into the police box and was putting on a wide-brimmed straw hat. "Don't be silly, Jamie. He wants us to help him build a sandcastle," she giggled, skipping after the doctor. James Robert McCrimmon looked incredulously around him. "Sandcastles," he muttered. His scowling face glistening with sweat, he marched down the beach to join the doctor and Victoria at the water's edge. Having removed his shoes and socks and rolled up his trousers, the doctor was splashing his feet in the shallows and chuckling with delight. "This is marvellous, marvellous," he cried, starting to dance a sort of jig. "You two don't know what you're missing." Jamie stood motionless and open-mouthed, staring out to sea. "Whatever's the matter, Jamie?" Victoria asked, following his gaze. She watched something skimming rapidly across the surface between the reef and the shore, throwing up great showers of rainbow spray. Then her ears picked up a high-pitched whining above the crashing surf. Suddenly afraid, she clutched the doctor's arm. "Look, Doctor," she murmured. "Whatever is it?" Aboard the hovercraft, a thick-set, grey-haired man was examining the three distant figures on the beach through powerful binoculars. He snapped an order to the muscular young man beside him at the controls. "Hey, Rod, pull her up a second." "What's up then, Tony?" "There's some crazy nutter dancing a jig out there," the older man growled in a thick Australian accent. "I don't believe it. It can't be. No way." "What the hell's eating you?" Rod exclaimed, grabbing the binoculars and peering at the tiny figure hopping about on the shore. "Jeez," he gasped a moment later. "What's he doing here?" He padded across the deck and thrust the binoculars into the hands of a tall, thin man wearing a crumpled suit who was sitting reading a tattered magazine. "Just take a look at this, T-Bore," he said, grabbing the man by the lapels and yanking him bodily to his feet. "Over there in the water." The thin man trained the glasses on the shore in the middle of the bay. "It is not possible, Tony," he said in a harsh Teutonic accent, without looking round. "It's quite impossible," he told them, lowering the glasses and turning to face them. "But there is no doubt at all. It is Salamander himself." There was a stunned silence. "So what are we going to do then, Tony?" Rod blurted out at last. The grey-haired man whipped a small walkie-talkie out of his belt. "What do you think, Dumbo?" he drawled with a scornful grin, and he pressed the switch. About 10 kilometres inland, in a town called Melville, on a hill overlooking the ocean, a tall, attractive woman of 30 was standing in front of a large wall map hanging in a spacious office situated in a deserted concrete and glass building. A small radio clipped to her belt suddenly gave a shrill bleep. With an impatient toss of her head, she unclipped it and snapped the switch without taking her eyes from the map. "Astrid," she said coldly. "This is Tony," crackled the receiver. "We're between Cape Melville and Heath Point. We've caught the big one." For a moment the young woman said nothing. She stared at the map, her mind racing. "That's impossible," she retorted at last. "He's just gone off to the Central European Zone. You must be mistaken." Out on the hovercraft, Tony thumped the chart table impatiently. "I tell you, it's Salamander, not a shadow of a doubt," he shouted into his radio. "The three of us have all had a good look at him." There was a long pause. Eventually Astrid replied, "All right, Tony. If you are quite certain, I will inform Giles and—" Tony snatched up the binoculars with his free hand and swept the horizon. "No way. We'll handle this by ourselves," he said savagely. Astrid's voice crackled urgently from the receiver. "You will wait for instructions from Giles," she cried. "There must be no mistakes." But no one aboard